All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Hump Day Hangouts. I just realized that I did a live stream in our Facebook group asking people to come to Hump Day Hangouts 214, but apparently I was a week in the future because this is Hump Day Hangouts episode 213. Today is the 5th of December, 2018. And before we dive into answering everyone's digital marketing questions, going to say hi to the Semantic Mastery team real quick. So left to right on my screen. Chris, how you doing?
Doing good here in the gym here, as you can see. So yeah, that's life in California.
Outstanding, outstanding. That's tough. Yeah, you're in California and you're indoors. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. It's raining outside. Like, not so excited about the weather. How about in your place?
Yeah, well, it was raining this morning, so I'll let you pump some iron while we move down the line here. Hernan, maybe things are a little bit warmer for you, right?
It is actually. It's a nice day today. It's I think it's about to rain, but it's going good. And yeah, really excited to be here. Really excited for what's coming for this month. So, very good.
Marco, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Babysitting.
Keep busy.
Real busy. She's a handful, but I'm happy. And then, of course, Christmas. So it's annual charity drive for Semantic Mastery. And so I'm really happy about that. It really gets me going, man. This is the stuff that I really like, that I really enjoy, right? It's what makes me happy. So looking forward to doing all of that.
Outstanding. Yeah, we're going to have some more information on that. I know we've had a lot of people who have donated and are going to be coming into the the webinar on Monday, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But thank you to everyone who's donated so far. And last but not least, Bradley, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Just happy to be here.
Good deal. All right, short and to the point. Well, just wanted to...
real quick, Marco, I pinged you in Slack. Could you reply to that when you get a chance? Sorry, I need a link for something. So
yeah, right. You guys are just sending gifts back and forth. All right, everybody. Well, first of all, if you're new to Semantic Mastery, thanks for tuning in on watching this, whether you're watching it right now live or if you're checking it out on the YouTube channel. Appreciate you watching. You can always come and watch live, and especially if you're on YouTube and you want to get replies, we try to reply to comments and questions on the YouTube channel. But if you want to have the best chance of getting your questions answered, go to www.semanticmastery.com/HD questions. And I believe that is in the YouTube description as well. Or if you just join, you sign up, you join our subscription list, we send out alerts about, hey, we're starting soon, you can come join and do it that way. The second thing I wanted to mention is, as well, people ask us, where should we get started? What's the first thing we should do? You should get the battle plan. Everybody should get the battle plan. People in our mastermind get the battle plan. Everyone should get the battle plan. It's a great way to get repeatable processes for SEO, digital marketing. And I'll put the link on the page here, but you can just go to battleplan.semanticmastery. And then also highly suggest, if you've done that, you got the battle plan and you're ready to take things up a few notches, you're looking for a peer group, you want to really grow, you want to scale, come join our mastermind. You can find out more about that at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And speaking of the mastermind, guys, we got some big stuff coming up later this month, don't we?
Yeah.
Mastermind?
We do. We got a lot of updates coming. We just told the members about it inside of the mastermind, I believe, last week. I know I was traveling, so I kind of lost track of dates, but we got some big changes coming, a lot of really good stuff, and we're going to actually have a little bit of a webinar about that later in the month, right, Hernan?
Yeah, it's going to be around the 20. Well, it's going to be after Christmas, so it's going to be around the 26th, 27, around that. And yeah, we're going to be announcing a bunch of updates and upgrades and enhancements that we're doing to the mastermind, the Semantic Mastery mastermind experience, if you would, right? So we have a lot of content in there, a lot of people, you know, having great results, but we felt that we could do a lot better with how things are organized for you guys. So so yeah, that's gonna be quite a treat for everyone within the Semantic Mastery mastermind. So if you're wanting to join, go ahead and join, because it's gonna be quite a ride for 2019. So
yeah, better join soon.
Yeah. Definitely. So we got that going on. And then also we're going to have a little bit more firm announcement, but we got a really cool update webinar. Bradley's been doing a lot of work as well as other people with the Local Lease Pro stuff. We're going to have an update webinar about that. Bradley decided to make that public. And then we're going to do
short period of time.
Yes, for a very limited period of time. But you can come watch it. We understand, you know, you might be in a different time zone, so we're not going to say you have to be there live, but you're going to have a day, maybe 48 hours to watch it. And as well, we'll answer questions, go into deep into that. We're seeing a lot of really good results. We want to share this with people. And also, we're going to have some specials announced there as far as some Christmas good stuff going on. I'll leave it at that.
I got a couple things to add to that briefly. So, yeah, so that's December 17th, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we're going to do a Local Lease Pro update webinar for the members, but I'm going to make it public for a very brief period of time, probably only 24 hours, guys. So, you know, all of you that aren't in Local Lease Pro, if you want to get, we're going to be talking about location research, some I guess some new discoveries and location research and some real opportunities that we were missing before. And so I'm going to reveal how to do that. I'm also going to reveal some really cool tips on how to, because location research has expanded so much, which is really the tip of the spear. So it's really important. We're going to talk about how to make sorting through all that data more efficient and easier. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about some other just slight changes to the original training. But we're going to make that public just because we want a lot of you guys to understand like what type of training it is. So in case you haven't joined, you may end up wanting to join because you're not going to get all of it. You're just going to get what I'm going to share as the update. So, you know, that's only going to be a part of the overall puzzle. If you want the whole thing, you have to join Local Lease Pro or join the mastermind, because that's really the first product that you will get as a mastermind member, depending on whether you're starting off or trying to grow your business. But either way, it's one of our front end products now when you join in the mastermind. So I would highly recommend that you guys show up for that. And then one other thing, just real quick, that's kind of a side note. I meant to announce this earlier, and Adam, I don't know if you said it or not. I wasn't paying attention, but guys, I've been noticing we've been getting a lot of questions and in the comments section of the YouTube videos on our YouTube channel, and that's fine. But a lot of times those don't get answered, or they're delayed for days or even weeks before they get answered because nobody's actively monitoring our YouTube channel comments. So I just answer them occasionally when I see them. But just so you know, this is the forum for questions, right? Hump Day Hangouts, guys. And I know not everybody's going to hear this, but just for those of you that end up sometimes posting comments or questions underneath the YouTube videos, especially like the clips that we cut out of Hump Day Hangouts, a lot of times they don't get answered. That's what Hump Day Hangouts is for. We give an hour every single week. So please post your questions here, and that way we can get them answered, okay?
Cool. And something a little bit closer in time, wanted to remind everybody, and Marco mentioned it at the beginning, but we got the charity drive going on right now. We're going to be tying that in to later in the month, but coming up real soon. Marco, you got a webinar on the 10th, and do you want to tell people about that real quick?
Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Anyone who's interested in drive stacks, whether mine or somebody else's, I'm going to show you how it's done right and how you power them up the right way. And all it takes is a donation. So the course costs $4K, as you know, and it's worth every friggin' penny that you spend, because nothing pushes more power than a drive stack. We've shown it time and again. But, you know, Rob and I are going to go in there on Monday. Rob is riding shotgun, and he's going to give some stuff away, as he always does. He's like Bradley. He likes to give away the farm. So if I'm not doing it, or Bradley's doing it, he is. So we're always giving away stuff. People who have donated, you get access. If you haven't, I'm sorry. That's how it goes. So if you have drive stacks, if you have interest in drive stacks, if you're in RYS Academy, Local GMB Pro, I don't care where you are, you need to be in this webinar. And all it takes is, it's not even coming to Semantic Mastery. All it takes is a donation, and whatever you decide to give is fine. I'm not gonna say anything. $5, $10. Whatever you decide to give is good enough to get you in on the webinar. And there's a previous webinar that we've done. I'm trying to get access to that so that I can even give you access to that, to the first one in the series. So I think it's just totally worth whatever money it is that you decide to spend. Give from the heart, because it all goes to kids. You guys know the charity. If you don't, you can. I'll drop the links to. We have some videos in what do you call it, in our YouTube channel. By the way, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really helps us. And we also have it in the charity page, right? There's videos, so you can see what the charity is all about. You can also visit the Facebook page. And so that's what we're doing, guys. We're just helping kids. So if you like helping kids, you like helping others, donate. And what you get in the bargain is a fucking awesome webinar on how to power drive stacks. You can't get any better than that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I misspoke, man. I'm not babysitting. I'm just being dad.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it, Monday, 3 p.m. And again, you know, give what you can, give from the heart. This isn't, like Marco said, this isn't going to us. It's going direct to charity. And then Marco's been nice enough to share this information, put on the webinar, and try to get you access to that other one. So I put the link on the page, go there. And then also we're looking for input on a resource we're putting together. We have a list of a couple Hernan posted in the Facebook group yesterday. We've got a lot of responses, but we'd love as many as we can get. So I'm going to put that on here as well. If you can just hop over there, check it out, see which resource you would want, and vote on that. We would really appreciate it. So with all that said, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, cool. And one thing I want to mention, I just thought it was funny that the local lease pro method is just crushing it, guys. And I don't know how long it's going to last for us to have this kind of opportunity. So we're trying to build as quickly as we can. And that's basically what we're teaching in the mastermind. And it's super important. And what's really cool about, there's one particular metro area that I've already got a service provider lined up for. And they gave me a list of specific locations that they want to get more work from. And so I did I had my VA do the location research. And I think there was 12, maybe 13 areas in total that we researched, like zip codes essentially. And I ended up identifying 5 that we were going to attempt to secure and to rank for lead gen. And I got 3 out of 5 in the maps pack, in the 3-pack, with nothing other than claiming, verifying, and optimizing the GMB profile. It didn't have any press releases. It didn't have any off-page stuff. It was just literally just optimizing the profile. So 3 out of 5 in a metro area, almost overnight. It's just fabulous, guys. And so that's the kind of stuff you can expect with Local Lease Pro. And that's, again, we're going to be doing the update webinar on the 17th. So I highly recommend that you show up for that so you can get a taste of what it is that we're doing. Okay. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen and we're going to get into some questions. All right. First, Larry is up. Larry had several questions last week. He said, I have began thinking about local GMB and have a question about local city size and search demand. Is there a bottom threshold for GMB regarding city size and demand? Okay, so yes, no, there isn't you can still get leads from a Google My Business asset, even in really small towns. I know because I've got several tree service assets in some very, very small towns. And what's great about them is they're typically really easy to rank. And obviously I don't get a whole lot of calls from those, but they still do generate calls. So yes, you can still get leads from a area, even if it has no search volume, according to Google Keyword Planner. But don't worry about that. Really don't worry about that, because the Google Keyword Planner is typically showing, or it's showing keywords that advertisers bid on. And so if it's in a really small town and there's nobody actually advertising, spending money on Google ads in that area for those keywords, which it's rare that you find those, but it does happen. Then that data might not show for those keywords, but because nobody's bidding on them, right? Nobody's bidding on those keywords. So there's no reason for that data to be tracked, but that doesn't mean you can't get leads from there. I know that to be a fact because, like I said, from tree service, as well as some other industries that I've been in, where the keyword track or the keyword data doesn't show any search volume, but I don't care because it still ends up generating leads. So there, as far as what I'm doing for my minimum size, like when I have location research done by my VA for, let's say, 30 zip codes around a metro area, including the metro area, and then, the adjacent or surrounding areas. Let's say we research 30 zip codes. Out of that, once we've identified all the zip codes within a specific radius, then my VA goes and searches the population data for each one of those zip codes, and then sorts it and gets rid of any unique or unique or PO box type zip codes which have 0 population. And then the ones that the remaining zip codes that do have population, the window that I'm selecting is no less than 10,000. If the zip code has less than 10,000 people, then I omit that. Now, that's not saying that you can't get leads from that. You certainly can. I'm just saying that typically I'm going for 10,000 or more population in a specific zip code because it's going to produce more call volume, right? It's likely to produce more call volume. So that's just an arbitrary number that I pulled out of the air. No kidding. You know, maybe once I have more of a streamlined process and everything else, I may test with some lower population areas and see if I could still generate just as good a results or, you know, similar results. But that's currently my threshold. And there's really no rhyme or reason to that. I just selected that. Okay. But again, it doesn't matter how small the area is. People need stuff, right? Like, so it doesn't matter, even if it's a very small town with a small population of say 3,000, those 3,000 people are still going to need services, right? Of whatever it is. So if you can get a listing in that area, it might not generate a lot of leads, but it should generate leads nonetheless. Okay.
Yeah. I would add that it depends on what the lead is worth, because if you're getting 10 and it's only $10, I don't know if you want to bother with $100 a month. Although some people, if you do that 1,000 times, that's a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're dealing with something that's high demand in the area and high ticket, so that maybe 2 or 3 calls a month is all you need to make this successful for whoever it is, then I mean totally, because 15,000 people, you're gonna get some kind of call volume.
Yeah. What
kind of call volume? I don't know. You're going to have to research the competition, research what's going on. 15,000, I would say definitely. I mean,
absolutely.
That's not a small size town.
Yeah.
I mean that it's small in comparison to others, but you're still gonna get decent call volume, maybe in the 30 to 40 calls a month range. Maybe, I don't know. But, you know, if you get a call a day, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Right? Calls that turn into leads. Let's say if you get one a day, 20 a month, you're good to go. The dermatologist is happy because he wasn't getting those before. And it depends on how much he's willing to pay you for your efforts. You got to weigh that. How much are you going to get paid for the work that you're going to do? Actually, and if you have Local Lease Pro and you know how easy it is, you'd laugh all the way to the bank, because literally there's very little that you need to do.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, there's no way for me to speculate on how many calls you could generate from a city with 15,000, especially for dermatology keywords. It's not something I've never, you know, worked in that industry, so I couldn't tell you. But my point is, if a 3-pack is showing, it's 15,000 people in that population in that area, and you said it's a mess and could be easily taken over, then I'd do it. Right? I mean, it depends. Are you getting paid? Has he already agreed to pay you to do it, or are you talking about doing it to generate leads? However you decide to do it, if you know that you know, if he's interested, the dermatologist that is, then I would go ahead and do it, because 15,000 people, that's perfect for me, as far as that's right in my window. It's above 10,000, and so a lot of the zip codes that we target range between 10,000 and 30,000 people. So that's you know, it's right in there. That's a good number. So I would absolutely go after it. Something else, Larry, you can check out is use Google Trends. Go to google.com/trends, and you can take, and that's trends, TRENDS, and then you can actually sort. You can put in keywords like dermatology, dermatologist, things like that, and then select your state. Select United States, and then select your state that you're in. And then you can get kind of an idea of what the search interest is. It doesn't show search volume. It shows search interest and it's like a percentage essentially. So you'll see search interest for the keywords, not only for like dermatologist and dermatology or and again, I'm not familiar with that industry, so I don't know what somebody looking for that would search for. But that's a great place to start. That is always where I start for any type of keyword research, is Google Trends. Because I can specify my area, my location, my geography, and then I can narrow down all the way to a city level, but that typically restricts data considerably. So I usually start at the state level, and if I don't see a lot of data, then I'll broaden my search to the United States, so the entire country, right? But usually I'll start at just the state level, and then also you can adjust the time. So how much data are you looking at as far as historical data? So you can, I think by default now it's at 12 months of the previous 12 months of data, but you can select from that drop down also like 5 years, the last 5 years, or since they started Google Trends, since Google Trends started tracking this data, which I think was in 2004. So you can go all the way back to there if you want, and that'll give you even more data. But what's cool about that is it will show you the top related search queries based upon your seed term, which in this case would be like dermatologist, for example. So it will give you a lot of other keywords that now you can start to search, to do research on, to see, you know, to identify other keywords that could generate traffic to the business, right? And that'll also, like I said, it doesn't show you search volume, but guys, remember the AdWords keyword planner or the Google Ads keyword planner now, it's an AdWords tool. So when you're talking about doing stuff for SEO, it's, you know, I do still reference it occasionally because it gives me some idea of what type of interest there is for specific keywords, but that doesn't, it's not an SEO tool. So it's different in that the data that it's showing is for AdWords data, for people that are bidding on keywords and for people that are interacting or clicking on Google Ads. So that's what it's showing, not necessarily organic stuff, right? So that's why I say I don't recommend, you know, I don't really care what search volume says anymore. I go to Google Trends, I take a look there. Then I also use Power Suggest Pro to pull back a lot of long tail stuff based around my seed terms. And then that's it. If I know that there's suggested phrases, and I know that Trends shows that there's data for and related keywords for that, whatever seed terms I'm researching, then I go ahead and build for them anyways. And last but not least, I've said this before, but something else you can do is to identify where, you know, whether keywords convert, whether they generate traffic, is set up a Google Ads account or a campaign, excuse me, set up a Google Ads campaign and just throw a couple $100 at it and test. Because, you know, with the alpha beta campaign structure, which you can research that, just go to Google and search alpha beta Google Ads, and you'll see PDF by what's called it's a PDF by a company called Q3 Digital. And it talks about what alpha beta campaign structure is, which is really, really easy to set up. It's super simple to set up. And it will very quickly show you which keywords are generating traffic. And then that's what you can start your SEO campaign around, are the keywords that are actually generating traffic, right? And so that's something else that you can do, is just with a small budget, is figure out which keywords are generating traffic and then build your SEO campaign around that. Here's the thing, guys. I don't recommend going out and just, you know, throwing stuff at the wall when it comes to SEO. Like as far as, hey, I assume these keywords are going to generate traffic, so I'm just going to go start SEOing for these keywords. Because what happens is you spend a lot of time and effort and perhaps money too on optimizing assets, building assets, optimizing them, building links, creating content, all this other kind of stuff, just to find out that maybe that's not a winner. Whereas if you take AdWords, you could throw a couple $100 at an AdWords campaign, which you could set up in an hour or two tops if you know what you're doing, right? It could be done in an hour. And then you could just let the campaign run and slightly optimize it over a few days. And then you'll have data that will show you exactly which keywords are generating traffic. And then those are the ones that you target with an SEO campaign. It will save you a lot of time and a lot of rework. So anyways, that was a good question, Larry. Next one is Dan. He says, is it okay to use a group of purchased images for several GMBs, different GMBs in the same niche, and simply geotag them for their unique locations? Yeah, I mean, we do that, Dan. One of the things that I have my VAs doing, we're not really using a lot of stock images anymore because, you know, we've talked about grabbing images from YouTube. I can't get into that specifically here, but any of you that have been through any of our courses know that we've covered that in multiple courses. But just going and, you know, grabbing an image from YouTube, that tends to work well, because a lot of the times those are unique in that they're not a still shot from a YouTube video hasn't been indexed. Right. So my point is that they have a little bit more power. So that's one thing you can do. But what I have my VA do is about once a week, just spend an hour going and collecting more photos, just using the YouTube method, and adding them to a photos master folder, like a master's photo folder. In other words, it's just a pool of photos or screenshots or whatever that they've taken that we just keep adding to every single week. You know, another couple dozen go in there. Or, you know, however many they get done in about an hour. And that way as we continue to build GMB assets, our pool of available images is always growing, right? And so that way we can just select images at random from that drive folder, and then yes, we just geotag them. So for example, if we're setting up a new asset and let's say we want to optimize 30 images for daily posts or something, he'll just randomly select 30 images from that Photos master folder, or even copy that entire folder and then and put it in the project subfolder, and then use something like GeoSetter to geotag all of those images. And then whenever he goes to post, set up a GMB post or a blog post or anything really, he can go grab an image from that specific folder. It's already geotagged. It's ready to go. Does that make sense? So we started off just with 30 images that we started reusing over and over again for other assets. But, I don't like that because it could potentially cause a problem. And you guys, if you've probably heard me say this before, I hate rework. Like, I hate losing assets, guys. I hate it. That sucks. That just, it's very discouraging. So I'd rather, spend the extra time developing the master's photo folder more and more on a weekly basis. And again, it's something a VA could do, so that you just keep adding. Stock photos will work, don't get me wrong, but I like to use more unique images if possible.
We did an entire webinar on how to get unlimited local images in Local GMB Pro.
Yeah, so RYS too, right?
Yeah, it's in. No, we didn't share it with. Yeah, we did invite our RYS Academy.
I thought so.
In fact, yes, we did. So if you're an RYS Academy or Local GMB Pro, you have a way to get unlimited local images, and I showed exactly how it's done. And you can have just thousands and thousands of unique images from your hometown, and you can relate them all to whatever it is that you're doing. It's a really simple method. I don't know why nobody else has come up with it, has said, holy crap, this is so simple, because it really is. Once you see it and you see how easy it is, you're going to hit yourself in the head and say, why didn't I think of this? Because it's stupid simple. So if you guys are in there, you just go. It's in the Facebook group, in the Local GMB Pro Facebook group, and in the RYS Academy Facebook group. I uploaded the webinar in there.
Yeah, and I would say definitely, get more images as you can. It's time consuming to do the methods that Marco was talking about, as well as the YouTube method. That's why I recommend that you have a VA do it. Just train a VA to do it, guys. It's very inexpensive to have a VA collect images for you. Will save you a ton of time. Greg's up. He says,
yeah, hang on a second. The reason why I did that webinar is I wanted to show people also why you shouldn't use stock images, because Google AI can pick out everywhere where that stock image has been used, and it's been used multiple times. So Google knows that it's a stock image rather than an image taken by someone at the location. So why not go through a little bit extra trouble and give Google what it wants? When we try to trigger the algorithm, that's always what we look to do. We want to feed RankBrain as much data as possible, but it has to be new data for RankBrain to really pay attention.
There you go. So Greg's up. He says, went through the RYS done for you manual best I could. I'm a newbie to this stuff and have the following questions. It looks like it may be possible for the RYS G Site to rank for the main targeted keyword before the money site does. If so, that would be an unfortunate money site branding situation, even though the G Site is carrying links to the money site. I thought the RYS stacks would push ranking juice to the money site. Well, they do. But yes, sometimes the G Site can rank first. And I mean, that's just because it's a Google property and Google's own narcissism, right? Google likes to rank its own properties, guys. That's why we utilize them the way that we do. So the idea is, if you have a Google site that's well built, and trust me, the way that our guys do it from MGYB, it's incredible. Like, it's amazing how well they come out. I mean, they look really, really good. And there's a ton of data on them. And there's a ton of calls to action, as well as, links and contact information and all that stuff, so that even if it takes up, it ranks before the website does, which happens often. It doesn't matter, because somebody clicks on it, they're still going to know exactly who the brand is, right? And they could click through to the final, the money site if they wanted to. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care if the Google site outranks the money site. It makes no difference to me, because it's still a branded property that's pushing whoever lands on it to the brand. So in my opinion, it really doesn't matter. Now, there are some things that you can do. Marco, can you add a canonical to a Google site? Is there a way to inject something in an HTML header? I can't remember. If you can.
But that's not something that we're going to share. Not right now.
Well, okay, I wasn't going to say how to do it, but I'm saying if you, and I don't think Greg understands what a canonical is anyways, but that's something that you could do, but I wouldn't even worry about it because I would rather the Google site index than not, and then push all, than not index and push all the power to the money site. Because if the Google site can index and it's still pushing power to the money site, then both could end up being on page one, right? And I would rather have that additional asset that would push a potential competitor off page one than not have that asset. Does that make sense? So anyways, yes, that can happen sometimes, Greg, but again, it's, in my opinion, that's not a bad thing at all. Number two, is it best to embed the map on the money site's homepage, or can it be embedded on multiple pages? It can be embedded on multiple pages, or it can be embedded in the footer or in the sidebar, which will make it appear on all pages. That's perfectly fine. Typically, I embed a map in like the footer, one of the footer widget areas, or a sidebar. Typically, that's how I do it. Okay. All right, we're going to keep moving. James says, hey, hope you guys are well. Quick question, if I may. Are you able to change a GMB address after you've received a postcard and verified the original address? If so, well, now you can, James, only because everything changed recently. Now, I don't know about if it's a storefront business, like a point of sale. I know for like service area businesses, once you verified the profile, you just go in and clear out the address. There's actually even a link in there that says clear address. And so that, I mean, that's what you do now, which is crazy because for the longest time, you know, ever since Google Maps came out, that's not how you did it. So, and that just changed within like the last 6 weeks or so. So yeah, you can. And if, as far as, recently, even if like you go, like, if you go remove the address, or I don't know if you'd want to add the address back in unless it's a storefront. If you have a storefront where people are going to be coming to the business, then yes, you want to make sure you have the correct address. But if it's a service area business, you don't even need an address anymore once it's verified. Okay. Go ahead.
I would say that yes, there's always a risk. Anytime you make changes to a Google My Business listing, this one is less, unless this one is less unless you make too many changes. If you start making too many changes, then speed at which you do it comes into play. You do shit too fast and you're gonna get burned. And I'm telling you, you're gonna lose the asset. And if it's a client, your client is gonna be pissed because you got their stuff. It's gonna disappear, gone. It's banned, and they're gonna have to. I mean, it's nearly impossible to get it back once Google says it's suspended.
Yeah.
Due to TOS violations or whatever. If you're going to start making changes, dude, slow and steady wins the race. So you do one thing, you let it sit for a while, you come back, you do it, and never, ever through the owner. Don't ever use the owner. It always, you know, I might be giving away too much. Set up a manager and do everything through the manager. Don't ever again sign in as the owner. Protect the owner at all costs. Put all of the blame on the manager.
You and I have conflicting opinions on that. Then it depends on, in my opinion, it depends on whether you're building a lead gen asset, which is a spammed asset essentially, or if it's for a bona fide business. If it's for a genuine business, then I totally agree with what Marco just said. But if it's for a spammed address, I'm actually recommending that to do everything through the owner account and not even connect a manager account. I'm going to that route because I'm trying to reduce any potential footprint issues. And remember, with lead gen assets, guys, they're spammed addresses, right? They're spammed assets. So you want to reduce footprint. But when you're talking about, or eliminate footprint if possible, but when you're dealing with clients or like bona fide businesses, right? Genuine businesses, then it's not an issue because they're real businesses that can be verified, right? And can be re-verified if needed. So that's why I would absolutely recommend what Marco said if that's the case. And that would be like assign yourself as a manager and then make the changes as a manager, not through the actual owner account. If that makes sense. So,
well, here's the deal with that. We have MGYB done for you services, right? Excuse me. GMB done for you services. And the only way that our VAs can go in is as managers.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just the way that it has to be done. And in practice, what I've been seeing is that anything that we do as managers, whether it's a spammed address or whether it's a real address, Google doesn't react to it, because we never put anything that's of the same type. We never put 100, let's say, tree service properties on one manager. We spread them out. We give them different ones, multiple niches. So each one is going to look like, oh, okay, like it's an agency actually working in the GMB, rather than one big umbrella that's getting spammed. Everything under one umbrella. So that's the way we're actually doing it inside the done for you services, because they have to be added as managers.
That's right. All right, Randy says, began using Ghost Browser recently and found that you can edit the user agent string for different identities. Is there a benefit in changing that for different local business identities? I don't know. That's not something I messed with. Randy, if somebody else has an opinion, I'm happy to hear it. I don't worry about all that shit. I'm using Browsio instead of Ghost Browser, and I just make sure that I log in through and that's what I was just talking about in the previous question. The owner account, Google owner account for the GMB asset, we assign to a project, or what's become essentially it's a profile in Browsio, and then we log in, and from that point on, that browsing session remains live or active, right? Even if we close Browsio, that browsing session, that profile remains logged in, to where when I pull up Browsio and open the Chrome browser the next time, I'm already logged in. Right. And so I don't care about the user agent stuff. That may be something that we start worrying about at a later date. Right now, it has not been an issue. It has not caused any problems. So I don't mess with that. Again, guys, I try to produce results with the absolute bare minimum required. Because otherwise, especially when you're building stuff out at scale, the more steps you add, the slower it takes to complete. And so we're trying to streamline things as much as possible. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's not something that should be done or that will need to be done in the future. I don't know, but it has not been an issue for me and the stuff that I've been doing yet. Does anybody have an opinion on that?
I don't do anything. I mean, I have with Ghost Browser, but very limited. I don't know. I found it very rigid. It might be a whole lot. It's when it first came out. Might be a whole lot better now. They may have added a whole lot of stuff, but I'm just not familiar with it. And at any rate, I wouldn't be, because the way that we teach it is get a VA to do it, which is what I do. I just had a VA go through the training, not for Ghost Browser, but for Browsio. And so that's what they do. So I'm sorry, but I can't help you with Ghost Browser. But we do have some people who use Ghost Browser. If you're in any of our paid groups.
Yeah, just post about it.
Yeah, just post it in there, and we have a few, John Wypick and I think Greg Pippin, if I'm not mistaken. There's a few people that are using Ghost Browser and are getting results with it. So check in there.
Yep, there you go. And the last part of that, he said apparently there was an issue with the MGYB website on his end. If you have an issue with something like that, just contact support at mgyb.co and try to get it addressed there, Randy. All right. Peter says, hey, guys, a month ago, I received a GMB listing from your store, and there was a street address. Now there is no street address, but the listing is still alive. Should I do something about it or just leave it? Well, just leave it, Peter. If it's a service area business, don't worry about it. The address does not need to show. In fact, you should clear the address if it's a service area business. Now, again, that's changed. That's different from even 6 weeks ago. It used to be there was a checkbox that you would check to hide your address, but the address was still in the GMB profile. It just wasn't shown in maps to the public. But now, as a service area business, it is recommended to clear the address. Once it's verified, you clear the address so that Google knows about what the original address was, but it's not even going to show in the dashboard anymore once you clear it. And that's absolutely fine. If it's a storefront, then yes, you want the address to show, because you want people to be able to click for directions. You also want the location to show in maps so that people can find it for driving directions and all that stuff. But for service area businesses, there's no reason for the address to be listed, because the business goes to the customer location, right? So that's what it should be. Just leave it. And I'm assuming it's a service area business. Eddie says, hey guys, I've been following your content for a while, but only the replays on YouTube. Do you guys still geotag your images? Yes, absolutely, Eddie. Absolutely. I've got a VA that does all that stuff, but yeah, absolutely. We geotag all the images. Also, do you guys purchase the image license for each individual GMB, or do you buy them once and use them multiple times? Well, okay, I buy, if I'm using stock images, which again, we try not to use anymore at all. But okay, so for example, I've got clients that I have bloggers post on their GMB profiles direct to the client's GMB stuff, right? And so in that case, those clients have purchased, like they have accounts set up at, like I use StockFresh. Stockfresh.com is the stock image site that my company uses, my team uses. And so each one of my clients that we blog for has their own StockFresh account, and they pay for the credits. And then my bloggers actually just access their account to pull images to post for them. That way, in case there's ever any license claim issues for that specific business, that business is the license holder. You don't want to, as an agency, guys, purchase stock credit images or licenses and then post them on client sites, because the client sites or assets have to be the license holders in that case. So you can actually, your clients can actually be hit with a copyright claim. Be sued for copyright infringement if they're not the license holders. And trust me, how do I know this? Because I learned the hard way. So I'm telling you, don't do that. If you're going to be posting for clients on client assets, you want to make sure that they're the license holders. However, if you're building lead gen assets and you are the owner, well, owner, I'm using air quotes, but you control those assets, then you could actually have just one license for your parent company, whatever your company is, which I hope you have an LLC or a corporation, but your company would be the license owner. And then all of those assets you could post them to because you can produce the license and also produce that you control those assets, right? You can prove that you control those assets. So that's what I would recommend. But again, I highly recommend that you're not using stock images. I mean, there's other ways to get images like we just talked about. So Ralph Pendergrass says, last week I asked about GMB accounts that were suspended immediately after verification. Bradley, you asked how were my Gmail accounts created, and they were created on my cell phone with the same number. Okay, which is probably the footprint and the reason for the suspension. Just want to update you guys. Well, thanks for the update, Ralph. That could be it. Google it's getting harder and harder to create Gmail accounts, and that's why we typically just buy them. But we've been having issues with some of those recently too. It's just getting tougher, guys. And so we're just going to have to keep trying to, workarounds to figure all this shit out, which is, I mean, that's the nature of this industry, right? The cat and mouse game that is SEO. So, but yeah, that's why it's important if you're going to be using account providers, which is what I recommend. It's very important to find a provider that also doesn't leave footprints, because what sucks is you end up with accounts that you start to do stuff with and then they get terminated incredibly easy, and it's because they were flagged to begin with, and that's a problem. So Greg, this is a question for you, Marco. Hey guys, how important is AMP for websites going into 2019?
I think, well, here's the thing, right? And I've said it before, and I have to say it again. It's all about art, activity, relevance, trust, and authority. Not necessarily in that order, but you have to have it all in order for Google to pay attention. If you already have people coming into your website, interacting and staying, page speed becomes a non-factor, because art trumps everything. Let me say it again in case you haven't heard me all of the other times that I said it. Art trumps everything, including page speed. Page speed, it becomes irrelevant because people visit the website, and if it's slow, they expect it to be slow, and they wait for it to load. Some websites take forever to load. I mean, and if you're there for a specific reason, you're going to stay. Now, if you have a brand new site, it doesn't have any visitors, it doesn't have anything, then one of the things that is going to matter is that page speed, because you want people who are coming in to have it available right away and to be able to stay and take action, right? Once you have that going, then again, it becomes a non-factor. How important is AMP? AMP is immediate because it's Google cached. And so while the project is going and while Google is paying attention to it, then it's important. And we still have the plugin in the what do you call it, in the AMP group in Facebook. So plugin is still there. It's up to date. It's working. You could do lots of fun stuff with it. So there you go.
There you go. Thanks. Jordan says, toxic backlinks indicated from SEMrush. Do you, I think he meant to say always, disavow in Google Search Console and quickly so? We are currently, but wondering if we could slow our roll to once per every couple of months. Okay, yeah, I haven't done it in a long time, but yeah, I didn't do it. Like, I would just go quarterly or maybe even biannual, like, you know, every 6 months or so. I would, that's when I would do it. I have a pest control company that they had an employee that I guess left on bad terms or was fired or whatever. And he, well, at least the owner thinks it was this ex-employee, started spamming the site with backlinks, but shitty backlinks, like really awful anchor text, like stuff I'm not even going to repeat on this public Hump Day Hangout, like really just awful stuff. And so and this was back when I first took the client on, which was shit, that's at least 4 years ago, maybe closer to 5 now. And so I was actually pitching the client on SEO services when I happened to look at their backlink profile. And when I and I was using Majestic SEO at the time, but I noticed, like, you know, all these awful anchor texts that were pointing to the site. And in fact, those were like the primary anchor texts were like all these really disgusting, awful things that that were being used. And so that was actually really what kind of helped me land that client, was because I shared the data from the Majestic report and showed, I was like, look, you're getting spammed, man. You're getting negative SEO'd essentially. And I said, this is, you know, this could be a real issue. If it hasn't already caused a problem, it certainly is going to. And so that was part of the reason it became urgent all of a sudden for him to get that cleaned up. And that's part of the reason I ended up landing that client. And one of the things that I did was I would just export the link list from Majestic and then sort by, you know, those awful anchor texts. And then I would submit all those URLs to the disavow, you know, Google, I would disavow those, right, as a disavow file. And it would something, but the guy was persistent as hell. So again, about every 3 months, at least initially, I did it for about the first year. About every 3 months, I would go in and resubmit a new disavow file, because additional links would, you know, index or appear that were crappy negative SEO links. But, you know, over time, it absolutely helped. I was able to get the site to rank really, really well. So those links were not hurting. Now, I know a lot of people say, don't ever use disavow, you know, don't ever disavow links with Google Search Console. I know people, tinfoil hats, say because you're just feeding Google data, all that. But I've recovered several sites that had penguin penalties by disavowing links. It's not something I do regularly anymore, because all the SEO stuff that I do now doesn't, you know, it's very rare that I come across people that I have to, you know, or sites that have to do that kind of stuff. I don't recommend link cleanup jobs. It's a pain in the ass. It's very tedious. But if you've already got a client and this is an issue, then yeah, and again, there's probably different opinions even from my partners. But for me personally, I have been successful many times by disavowing shitty links. So, and like I said, I did it quarterly initially, and then I went to about every 6 months. And to be honest, I probably haven't even looked in about the last 2 years now for that particular client. But he's kicking ass, so it doesn't matter. So what do you guys think? Marco, you got an opinion on that?
Yeah, I've never disavowed a link and never will.
There you go. Point in case.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's a matter. Yeah, I'm in the middle, right? So you guys are like, I always disavow and never disavow. I think that Google is kind of intelligent enough at this point so that it will tell what kind of links are, you know, bringing in or are more valuable than others. And it all comes down to what Marco was saying, you know, if those links are bringing in traffic and authority and, you know, relevance and whatnot. But it all comes down to what do you see in the rankings? Are they fluctuating? Are they piling up? Like, it's normal that your website will have a couple of backlinks that they're not there, because there's a lot of websites that are just like scraping links left and right. So yeah, that's what I would say. Like, don't touch it unless it really goes down. Are they piling up? So
yeah, and I agree with what Hernan said. If it's not causing any negative effects, then don't bother, Jordan. But that's also, if you've already started doing that though, and you're not seeing any negative effects, then I would almost say not submit the disavow file, because it could be that the reason it hasn't shown any negative effects is because you've been submitting. So whatever, if you're currently comfortable with the situation, whatever it is that you're doing, either submitting it or not submitting it, but you're comfortable with the results, then keep doing what you're doing, is what I'm saying. But typically, like I said, I knew Marco was, I kind of assumed that Marco was going to counter what I said, but you know, I haven't done it in probably 2 years, like I said, guys, but I used to do it when needed, and it was fine. I was actually able to successfully recover several sites that way. But again, I've known other people that say never, never, never submit a disavow file. But I kind of agree with Hernan too, just in that Google has gotten a lot better to determine which links are valuable and which ones aren't, and they kind of just disregard the non-valuable links.
It's called the distance graph algorithm, right? I wrote about it in 2015. That's when it kicked in. That's when Google started just not paying attention to the garbage links and really paying attention to quality links from trusted, authoritative sources. The more trusted and authoritative the source in the niche, that's what we always say, relevance. Right? We say art, activity, relevance, trust, and authority. That's what activates the distance graph algorithm. So it's not really tinfoil hat. The reason why I always say fuck Google anyway. I could give a shit what they do, but this is actually something that's based on science. Google just doesn't pay attention to the garbage links. Whatever they're pointing at you, Google will give them less and less and less authority as time goes by. They might have an effect initially, but you don't really have to disavow them, because they won't really count, since they have no trust or authority. Now, if you have traffic coming through those, let me just clarify. If you have traffic coming through those garbage links, then they can become powerful enough to really affect your website.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna get into how to do negative SEO or how to change the semantic relationship of a website. You can really screw somebody over really bad just by changing the semantic relationship of the website. And there's ways to do it, which I won't get into in this forum.
Felician says, what exactly is a drive stack? Thanks. It's using Google Drive properties for SEO purposes. That's the simplest explanation I can give you, and I'm not even going to try to expand on that. What exactly is a drive stack? It's using Google Drive, which is Google Docs and Sheets and drawings and maps and all that stuff that's available in Google Drive as an SEO tool. That's it. I'm going to move on. We're almost out of time. What time's your webinar next week?
3 p.m. Eastern.
3 p.m. Eastern. There you go, Jordan. Jim says, donated. I planned on donating, so this offer is just icing on the cake. Great, Jim. Thanks, man. If you've ever learned anything from Marco and or the SM team, donating is a given. Think about how much money you've made and how much free information you've gotten from Hump Day Hangouts. What's worth $5 to $10 more? Or wasn't that worth $5 to $10 or more? Absolutely, Jim. And thank you for that comment, man. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure Marco does as well.
Absolutely.
Marcus Goodson says, is it possible to review the process for creating a new WordPress site by using a redirect from the old HTML site? Is it possible to review the process for creating a new WordPress site by using a redirect from the old HTML site? Do I need to edit the HT access to transfer the authority to the new site? Best practices? I'm not sure. If you're talking about building a new site on the same domain, redirect from the old HTML. No, it shouldn't. Yeah, okay. I think I know what you're saying. If you're building a new WordPress site on a domain that was previously an HTML site, how do you capture or redirect inbound link equity, right? Link flow to non-existent from non-existent HTML pages? Then yes, an HT access would be a great way to do that. All you got to do is, like, for example, just build a list of all your pages from your HTML site and the URLs, and then you could just redirect those to the new pages on the WordPress site, because typically HTML sites are going to have, like, you know, .html at the end or something like that at the end of the pages, whereas the WordPress doesn't, right? So you could just set up all those redirects in HT access, Marcus, and that's absolutely how you could do it. Yeah, but that's the point, is you just want to set up 301 redirects. In fact, I'm not sure if you can do it with the plugin I think you can. Like I use Simple 301 Redirects is a great WordPress plugin because it's exactly as the name. It's exactly as the name says. It's a simple 301 redirects. It's super, super easy. All you do is you put the original URL in the left column, and in the right column, you put the target URL, the new destination, and it'll automatically set up redirects. And so like you could take your HTML extensions, right? So from each individual page and put that in column A, and then in column B is where you would add the new WordPress page or post, whatever, the URL that you want to redirect that old one to. But that's just if you want to do it within WordPress. If you want to do it htaccess, if you're comfortable editing htaccess, you can absolutely do it there. And that's probably the best place to do it if you're going to do it. I'm not comfortable editing htaccess, guys, so I typically use the plugins. Or if I have some redirects that I want done via htaccess, fortunately, I use really good hosts like Liquid Web or WPX Hosting, and I can ask them to do it, hosting support to do it, and they'll do it for me. Because again, I don't like messing around in the htaccess. I'm not one of those types of coding nerds. I don't understand that shit, and so I just stay out of it. So, okay, cool. We're gonna keep on moving. We're almost done, anyways. Felicia says, next one was not Dan's question. I see mine was deleted. Great. I'm not seeing. What are you talking about, Felicia? Or Felician? I'm not sure what he's talking about. Next one was not Dan's question. Okay. Anyways, I don't know what you're talking about, and nobody can delete comments from this page. At least I don't think you can. No. And so if you posted a question and it's not appearing, Google Plus sometimes will say that comments or spam, and there's no way for us to control that. And if Google says it's a spam comment and it takes it from the page and we can't even see it as an admin, page admin, just so you're aware of that, nobody was targeting you. Okay. If you posted a question and it's not appearing, then it's because Google took it off the page, not us. All right. Edward, what's up, Ed? Ed was at PoFu Live. He's awesome. He says, Envato subscription lets you license photos for your clients. That's perfect, Ed. Thank you. Gregory says, can you suggest a couple of call forwarding platforms for ranked and red sites? Oh, yes, Gregory. Great question. I still use Callfire because it's so ingrained into my business. I've been using Callfire since 2012. No, actually, I don't know. It's between 2010 and 2012 is when I started using Callfire, and I've been using it ever since. So I've got dozens and dozens, if not 100 plus phone numbers in Callfire. However, I just started for this GMB asset building, the scaling, because we're really building this out. I started using CallRail. I freaking love it. In fact, I would love to transfer all of my numbers from Callfire into CallRail, but that whole porting numbers over is a complete clusterfuck. Like, it's not something I want to do, and it takes several weeks. I'm just not even going to attempt it. Everything that I'm building now, though, I'm using CallRail. It's fabulous. It's inexpensive. There are so many amazing features in CallRail, guys. It's awesome. So I highly recommend you use CallRail. Anybody have any other suggestions?
I totally agree. I've been using it for about 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's great. I really wish I would have started using it a long time ago.
But Bradley, have you tried integrating them with any other tools yet? I assume they're pretty deeply. I mean, I'm going to assume CallRail's been around for a while, so they probably got good like Zapier.
Oh my gosh, they'll integrate with just about everything, and they'll integrate directly with like Google Ads. It's awesome, and there's a bunch of different apps that are will natively integrate with it, but then it'll also connect to Zapier, which means you can pretty much connect to anything. So it's amazing.
Well, that's good. We should probably talk with the local Lease Pro people, because I see too. I'm looking at the CallRail pricing info. It's nice. I got packages. So if you did this per like metro area, you could include this in kind of the, have things separated out. I kind of like how this is set up.
Yeah, that's great. So great question, Gregory. All right, Jordan says, I'm planning on donating $200 to the charity to get into Marco's negative SEO webinar. That's funny. I've never done negative SEO, guys. Never once. Don't get me wrong. I've been tempted to do it, but I've always thought that I would rather put my, work on stuff that can produce revenue than to take somebody else out because they pissed me off. You know what I mean? And not only that, but I truly believe in karma, guys. Karma's a bitch. The universe has a way to working stuff out. And if you're out there negative SEOing, and I know Jordan was kidding, but if you're out there negative SEOing somebody, like that's going to come back and bite you in the ass at some point in your life at some time. At least that's what I believe. And so I've just never done it. And again, I've been tempted in the past. And I've had other people, like in a tree service industry, for example, I've had other tree businesses call and report stuff to Google My Business. I've had them leave negative reviews on the GMB assets because I outranked them, you know, that kind of stuff. And so I've been tempted to like, oh yeah, Mr. Tree Guy, you think you're smart? Like, don't you know this is what I do for a living? I can destroy your online presence. You know what I mean? But I've never done it. I've thought about it, but I've never done it because I've always thought, why would I want to spend my time doing that when I can just build more assets to produce more revenue? You know what I mean? And again, I know Jordan was kidding, but that's just my philosophy on negative SEO. John says, on my way to Boston in December, first grandchild on the way. We'll catch the replay. Thanks. Awesome, John. John is a mastermind member. So everybody, we made it. We're only 1 minute over. Wow. So, all right, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Adam, for hanging out, and Marco as well.
Bye, everyone.
Awesome. See you guys.
See you guys.